begins now.
Well, today marks 1 year since the murder of George Floyd. Our Brandon T. Jones is live from the Black Lives Matter mural downtown with how Spokane plans to remember him.
George Floyd's death changed the entire world last year, and here tonight in Spokane, people will be honoring his life at the pavilion.
Amtrak is resuming travel in Washington after nearly a year of reduced service.
To be honest, it's like the fastest way to get here and doesn't require like a lot of hassle.
We'll tell you what routes are resuming and which ones will stay on hold.
And of course, we're going to take you outside on this sunny Tuesday morning, talk a roller coaster ride of a forecast.
But first, let's get right to breaking news. Moderna just announced its COVID vaccine can protect kids as young as 12 years old. Thanks so much for watching Up with KREM. I'm Tim Pham.
And I'm Dana Marie McNichol. Well, this announcement could put Moderna on track to become the second vaccine option for children here in the United States. The company says it's submitting its teen data to the FDA. They're hoping the shot will be available to kids as young as 12 by next month.
The company studied 3,700 kids ages 12 to 17. Findings showed the vaccine triggered immune protection in the kids as it does in adults. Participants experienced the same side effects as adults: sore arms, headache, and fatigue. All right, just about 7:32 here. Let's get a check of our forecast with Jeremy Legou. Jeremy, what can we expect today?
Everything.
Everything?
Not everything. Definitely not snow, but you might see some frozen precipitation coming from the sky. That could be potentially later on today, but for now, how about sunshine as you head out the door? It's a beautiful start to the day, but see those skies on the southern horizon, the clouds out there? Those will actually play a bit of a role in what we wind up seeing here over the course of the next few hours. For now, temperatures near 50 in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, 46 in Sandpoint, and mid-50s out in central Washington. We've got those clouds lifting in from the south. Those are the ones that you could see south of Lake Coeur d'Alene there just a little bit earlier. And those play a role in what we see because they build in, and we'll wind up seeing some scattered kind of isolated showers and storms later on today. Some of those could pack a rumble of thunder depending on where you are and if you see them. I don't think the thunder is overly widespread. I also don't think the showers are overly widespread, but we still have the potential to see a few. Here in Spokane, what we likely see is clouds build in and a mix of clouds and sun today as temperatures climb into the mid and upper 60s.
Jeremy, thanks so much. Well, vigils and events will be held across the country today, including right here in Spokane.
Well, this morning we have Brandon T. Jones. He joins us live from the Black Lives Matter mural downtown Spokane with the details.
Good morning, Tim and Dana Marie. Yet tonight here in Spokane, people will be holding a memorial for George Floyd's life down at the Spokane Pavilion. It starts at 7 p.m. tonight. People are asked to bring candles, chalk, and be ready to reflect. Anyone can attend the peaceful event and masks will be required. The days following Floyd's death sparked protests all around the country, including here in downtown Spokane. Take a look at some of these tweets from last year. May 31st, a peaceful protest started in Riverfront Park. It then turned into a march through downtown Spokane with tons of chants and cries for help signaling through the city. It ended at the Spokane courthouse where several protesters laid on the ground in front of police. Later that day, the protest wrapped up and the atmosphere had a major shift. There were a few places vandalized. Tear gas was used in downtown Spokane and a curfew was put in place. Thousands of people participated in demonstrations against police brutality for several weeks. Protests like the ones here in Spokane had local and state leaders looking into reform. Last week, Governor Inslee signed a dozen new police reform measures into law. One of those was House Bill 1267. It's a statewide ban on chokeholds and neck restraints. The governor's website credits the killing of George Floyd for bringing newfound attention to use of force tactics employed by law enforcement officers.
And here's why this legislation is necessary. Many of these tactics have been used, unfortunately, that led to great tragedies and disproportionately against people of color.
The bill also restricts vehicular pursuits and limits the use of tear gas. 9 additional police accountability bills were signed related to topics like a peace officer's duty to intervene, data collection within law enforcement, and juvenile access to an attorney when contacted by law enforcement. Last year, I got a chance to cover a majority of the protests that took place here in Spokane. There was a lot of passion, a lot of emotions that were flowing through our city. So it's crazy to look back on just how much has changed over the last year and how much more change has to take place. Tim, Dane Marie.
Brandon, thanks so much. So we want to talk about what about the officers convicted and charged in Floyd's murder?
Well, former police officer Chauvin has been convicted of all charges against him after last year's killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Chauvin has been found guilty for second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. The jury reviewed 3 weeks of testimony in 45 witnesses in one of the most closely watched murder trials in American history. His sentencing is set for next month.
The other 3 officers charged in Floyd's death are set to be tried starting on March 7th of next year. They're charged with aiding and abetting second-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter. So, of course, we will keep you updated here on Up with KREM of both the sentencing of Chauvin and the other officers involved in George Floyd's death.
We will also keep an eye on the events happening here in Spokane today and across the country. Well, 7:36 now. It's time for your morning rush. More news in less time.
Spokane Public Schools will decide on names for 3 new middle schools, plus a potential renaming of the school currently known as the On Track Academy tomorrow.
They received hundreds of submissions back in February and have narrowed it down to just 3 possible names for each building. SPS had multiple meetings today to weigh in those community comments on the names. They're also picking mascots for each school, which will represent the spirit of the school, identity, and characteristics of the community.
Amtrak is restoring services on long-distance routes serving Washington. The company recently recalled furloughed workers thanks to nearly $1.7 billion in federal aid, allowing the carrier to restore service across the nation.
Previously, you'd have the worry of getting infected. You would see someone cough and you would try to stay away, but now it's a lot more comfortable. You're more you just feel better.
Trips to Canada are still on hold because of the border remains closed to non-essential travel through at least June 21st. Amtrak President Stephen Gardner will visit Seattle and Everett today. He's expected to talk about the plan to expand routes across the U.S.
United Airlines is offering Mileage Plus members a chance at a year of free flights if people get vaccinated. United says any new or existing member who uploads their valid vaccination card to either their website or their app will be entered into the Your Shot to Fly sweepstakes. They're accepting new entries until June 22nd. 5 people will be selected on July 1st. There is a maximum of 26 trips, which comes about 1 every 2 weeks.
A lot of traveling.
Yeah.
Well, the U.S. State Department has issued a no travel advisory to Japan just weeks before the Olympics. They are warning travelers because of a very high level of coronavirus there. Now the warning isn't restricting any travel, so it doesn't directly affect any entry into Japan right now. The State Department is asking travelers to visit the website for the U.S. Embassy in Japan for more information.
And a new study suggests that some dogs might be able to sniff out COVID. Researchers put 6 dogs to the test, and all of them were able to pick up the distinct odor produced by people with coronavirus. It's still too early to know exactly whether COVID-sniffing dogs could actually be used as a tool to fight the pandemic, but researchers say the results are extremely exciting.
Wow, good boys and girls.
Yeah.
And that's your morning rush. More news in less time. Let us know what's happening in your neighborhood by using the hashtag #UpWithKREM on social media.
Well, another incentive to get vaccinated is now available after the break. How to get a free Uber or Lyft ride. Plus, I'll tell you who's offering the same thing right here in Spokane.
And of course, we're going to take you outside, talk our changing weather, what it means today, and your chances of seeing or even hearing some thunder later on today.